Okay, and we are recording and ready to go. So before we get started, I do have a couple of oops, general housekeeping things here for us, and I apologize, but my computer is getting ready to die. I'm not sure why. Just one moment, please. Give me a moment. Okay, and I'm back with you. So we have a couple of general housekeeping items here. If you'll notice the little cog here that's next to your name, that is your settings button. So what you want to do is if you need any settings change, you want to go ahead and click on that button. You can scroll down, you can turn on and off your microphone. We won't be using webcams tonight. Also, you have a notification setting here. If you don't
Hello, sorry about that. It looks like Sonia lost the connection there for a moment. She was just going over the rules in order to, not rules, but notification sessions. So if you're hearing that ding noise every time someone comes into the room or goes out of the room, all you have to do is click on the little cog to the right of your name. Once you click that cog, this little box will pop up, and then you can select notifications and then turn off that dinging noise. There's Sonya. All right, go ahead, Sonya. Connection problem. So I'm gonna. There you go. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know. My computer is charged, but for some reason it went black on me. I apologize. Did you were you able to go through all of the steps, Michelle?
Tell them how to turn off the notifications. I didn't get to refresh my.
Okay. And so, lastly, if you are having internet issues, such as I am, and you can't hear us or something doesn't look right, you can always click the button that says refresh my connection, or you can do Control R. So, those are just a few of the housekeeping things that we have for you tonight. So, what is on the agenda? On the agenda is what is copyright. We have, and I'm sorry, Shamar, if you cannot hear, or if any of you cannot hear, as I stated before, refresh your connection or maybe try going out and coming back in. You should be able to hear though. Yes, thank you, Jennifer. Okay, so what's on the agenda? What is copyright? What is piracy? Obtaining free content? How to tell if content is Creative Commons? Using copyrighted material? Misusing copyrighted material? Computer maintenance tips? Email safety? Internet safety? Plagiarism? Honor code? Digital literacy vocabulary? Here is your family school partnership coordinators. You have Miss Veronica Opani, who is with primary and elementary. You have myself, Sonia Welch, who's with middle grades. Miss Jennifer Lansing, who is with secondary grades. Miss Michelle Gilliard, whose voice you heard earlier. She is with our leadership and service, and Miss Myra Ram, who is with special programs. We are your family school partnership coordinators. I'm sure you have heard from us at some point during this year. Please know that we are here to support you. We are here to partner with you and your family so that your kids can have the best school experience with GCA. We are here to provide trainings like this training we have tonight. And so we want to make sure that you have all of the communications and that you are always in the know as to what is going on with the schools. So you will definitely be hearing from your family school partnership coordinators all throughout the year. So get to know our faces because we are definitely going to be sending you some s'mores and keeping you updated. These are just some tags that you're going to get to know. We have copyright, which is C, of course. That P is for patent. The TM is for trademark, and the R is for register. So all throughout life, at some point, you're going to see these things and just we'll give you an idea of what some of them are tonight. So the issue of copyright, the reason we are all here, we want to talk about copyright first. So as you know, our students have access to a lot of information on the internet. Now, we want them to have this access because it's going to help them in researching, doing their papers, and doing projects. So it's good. But what we want you as parents to know, as learning coaches to know, and as our students, we want you to know that we want you to actually be aware to make sure that you are not violating any copyright laws. And the way that you can do this is to know and understand what copyright is in the first place. So you don't know, then you may be violating some copyright laws. So we want to make sure that you do get a basic understanding of what copyright is. So what is copyright? So if you've ever written a poem, a story, or even a paper for your class, you automatically own the copyright to it. So what copyright is, in short, is a form of protection given to authors or creators for their original work. And what that means is that the author alone has the right to do any of the following with their work. You can make copies of your work. You can distribute copies of your work. You can perform your work publicly, such as plays, films, dancing. Now, on the other hand, people and other people besides you are not allowed to use your work unless you give them permission to do so. So you have all rights as the person who came up with the idea, as the person who wrote the play, who wrote the song, who wrote the poem. You can do what you will with it, but it is illegal for anyone to make copies of your work, to distribute your work, or to perform your work without your permission. So remember that copyright is a form of protection. It's protection for you as the creator, as the author. Let's talk about piracy. Piracy is theft. So online piracy in particular is the practice of downloading and distributing copyrighted content such as music or software without permission. I know you're saying, okay, well, people do this every day. So let's take a closer look. I have a scenario here. Kim downloaded her favorite song from a file sharing company instead of purchasing it. After downloading, she shared the song with her best friend Lisa. Since the artist is a millionaire and really don't need the money and probably would never find out, is what Kim did considered piracy. Give me a thumbs up if you believe what she did is piracy, and give me a thumbs down if you believe that what she did was okay. And Teresa, I will definitely get to your question. Oh, somebody said what she did was okay. Okay. And some said that what she did was wrong. Okay. Okay. So we have a few people who feel that what she did was okay, and we have some that says what she did was wrong. So let's move on. Okay, so for those of you who thought that it was okay, it was actually not okay. What Kim did is considered piracy. And I know a lot of people may not know because a lot of people do it every day. Kim believed that because the artist is rich, he will never know that she didn't pay the $4.99 to download his song. She also knows that at least half of her school purchased the song. So she feels it's no big deal for her to download it for free and share it with her best friends. But what Kim and most of us do not understand is what she is doing is considered stealing. Downloading and sharing copyrighted material without permission is illegal, and if caught, you can be charged a huge fine of up to $250,000 plus 5 years in prison. I know that seems very harsh, but that is how the rule works. So it was, in fact, wrong. There are places that you can download music, but there are some sites that are illegally putting music out and having people share that music. So you want to make sure that you are not downloading on those sites. So there are different types of copyright. So as I stated here, although everyone has the right to require that others respect their copyright and ask permission to use their work, some individuals have decided that it was okay for people to use their work. They actually want you to use their work. And this is awesome for us because sometimes we need a song or we need a poem or we need something. We may be having a program or we may be writing a paper and we need to use something that someone else has done. There are places and there are people who have decided that this is my idea, this is my piece of work, but I want to share it with others and I want to make it okay for them to use. And that is by Creative Commons or by placing their work in the public domain. So sometimes we're looking for free work, and those are places that we want to go. We'll talk about that in a minute. What are the types of copyright? We first have traditional copyright, which we've already spoken about, which is a form of protection for an author or creator for their piece of work. Then we have Commons. Creative Commons copyright means that you can use a person's work without getting their permission, but under certain circumstances. Public domain is work that can be used, adapted, copied, and published completely without any restrictions or no permission needed. So let's talk a little bit more about those. So first we want to talk about public domain. So with public domain, there are no restrictions on, well, first of all, when it says a domain, it means a specific place where you can go and you can find content where you can use for free. There are no restrictions on using the work that are in the public domain. This means you can use the work as long as you want, but you cannot ever claim that it is your work. So sometimes people go and they see a public domain, or sometimes it's not even public domain. It may be work that's copywritten, and people will take it. They think it's a great idea. They'll kind of change it, just, tweak it a little bit, and they would claim it as their work. That is illegal. You can't do that. But with public domain, you can use the work for free. You don't have to pay them. You don't have to worry about violating copyright, but you just cannot, and you should not, claim the work as your own. With Creative Common content does not cost you any money to obtain. It's totally free to use, but you must follow certain rules. People who choose to make their content Creative Commons can choose one or more of the licenses to apply to their work. You can do attribution, non-commercial, non-derivative, or share alike, and we'll talk about that. So you see this picture. This picture is copywritten, but it says here under Creative Commons that, remember we talked about attribution, non-commercial, non-derivative. So you will notice that the symbols in the picture, that's all it's, first of all, it's copyright, it's attribution, non-commercial, non-derivative. What that means is that you can use this photo if you credit the person who created it. But again, remember, you cannot make any money from it and you cannot change it. So if you use something that is in Creative Commons that have these particular licenses on it that says attribution, non-commercial, no derivative works, you can use it, but you must use it just as it is. You can't tweak it. You can't change something. You can't do anything with it. You have to use it just as it is. And again, you cannot make any money from it. So remember, with public domain, you can use some of the things in there, and you can change it a little bit. You just can't claim that it's yours. And same with some Creative Commons as well. But if you ever see these particular symbols where you see something is free or a Creative Commons, make sure that you do not change it at all, and make sure that you do not make any money from it. So let's talk about fair use. A majority of the content you create must be your own when you are using fair use, but you can give credit to the copyright holder. So with fair use, we'll probably see that used most of the time if you're writing a research paper, you're writing a paper for class, because most of it is going to be your work. But do you remember sometimes when you go and you look up on the internet and you try to do some research and get some more information, you may see something that it's really, really fits your project and that you want to use. You want it. So in that case, make sure if you are doing fair use that you are citing your work, that you are listing whatever site that you use as a reference. Make sure you're not copying paragraphs of the work. It's just, fair use is just using, maybe a sentence here or there, but you're not going to copy a whole body of work. Majority of the content you create must be your own. You must give credit to the copyright holder. And again, you cannot make any money off of the copywritten work. So, as I stated before, sometimes you'll see this in commentary when people, on the news are talking criticism, reporting, research, again, for your papers. Teachers use fair use when they're teaching so that they're not violating they're not violating any copywritten laws, but they are using fair use. And there's now even fair use where church choirs can sing songs that are copywritten, but they won't get in trouble for it as long as they're not using the song to make money. So that's fair use. Misusing copywritten material. So the concept of fair use can be tricky, especially when it comes to creating your work that you don't intend to post or publish. So remember, you cannot get paid for anything, but if something gets published or something gets out there, it can be a little tricky when it comes to fair use, and especially if people are starting to get paid for it. So in short, it's best to do what's right than to risk violating copyright or fair use laws. Sometimes a person may see, where they have some copywritten material and they may see that you used it some kind of way. It may get published, it may get posted. You may not have intended for it to get published or posted, but the person can see, okay, this is my work. This teacher was teaching. She posted my work. So now I want her to take it down. If she does not take it down, then there's going to be a problem. So if someone is asking you to take down anything that you have put up or posted that has their ideas, their thoughts it's already been copywritten, take it down. Don't try to dispute it. Don't say, well, most of the stuff is mine. Just take it down, because if you do not, you're going to risk your website being shut down, or you can even risk being sued. So this is just where fair use is concerned. And that was the conclusion of what I wanted to talk to you about piracy and copyright. Now we just want to give you all some tips as concerning email and safety. Of course, we probably don't have to tell you this, but when it comes to your computer maintenance, dust your keyboard using compressed air, wipe down your monitor, get rid of your mouse dust particles, power down or reboot your device regularly. Some email safety tips: do not open emails from someone you don't know or trust. Avoid sending any sensitive information over email. Never open an attachment with an email from a company or person you don't know, because there are a lot of phishing schemes out there where people will pose as someone that you know to make you feel comfortable to open up an email. And then when you open up an email, you have a virus. And sometimes that virus can spread to not only your computer, but to every computer in your network. So you want to make sure that you are very cautious. Be cautious connecting to open Wi-Fi, and always, always, always keep your passwords secure. Internet safety tips. And I want to read this verbatim, because as parents, as learning coaches, this is very important information that we want to share with our students, because it could save them from getting in harm's way. So personal information, do not ever give out personal information without parents' permission. We want you to reinforce that and make sure that and reiterate that to your children. This means that they should not be sharing their last name, home address, school name, or telephone numbers. And I know that as parents, as learning coaches, that I'm sure you have already drilled this into your children, but I just want to remind you to reiterate it to them. Never share their screen name. When creating your screen name, do not include personal information like your last name or date of birth. Passwords, do not share passwords with anyone. Make sure they only share their passwords with you as their parents or their learning coaches, not their friends. When using a public computer, make sure you log out. I went to print some things at Office Depot the other day, and the person before me left their logins on. If I wanted to, I could have read all their emails. I could have gotten in. I could have saw all of their private information. However, I let the store clerk know immediately that the person using the computer before me left their login information. They were still logged in. They never logged out. And so he went and he made sure that that person got logged out before I used the computer. So if you're ever using a public computer, make sure that you take the time to log out. If you use several pages, because the day that I used the computer, I had to go to several different sites. I went to a couple of my emails, but I made sure that I went back, I followed my steps, and I made sure to log out of each one. So make sure that you do that whenever you're using a public computer. Don't post photos or videos online without getting your parents' permission. Make sure that your students are not posting photos or videos that they should not be. Well, we don't know whether they should be posting or not. We just want to make sure we look and we see what they're posting before they post. So that way we've covered all bases, nothing will come back. So just make it a habit of trying to see what your students are posting, video or photo wise. Online friends, make sure you reiterate to your students not to agree to meet any online friend. I know this is an online school, and I know that students so badly want to trade information. They want to be able to see their classmates, but sometimes these lines get crossed, and you may not know who you're actually speaking to. So make sure that your students never agree to meet an online friend unless they have your permission and that you're with them and that you understand and know who this person is. Because again, unfortunately, people pretend to be things or people that they are not. So remember that not everything you read online is true. People can be, posing to be someone. And don't give out personal information without parents' permission. This means you should not share your last name, home address, school name, telephone number. I know I keep saying that, but I just want to drill that so that you can drill it into your children. So we always want them to be safe. And then we have to talk about plagiarism. I know we all understand plagiarism, but I still want to talk about it. Plagiarism honor code. All submitted coursework at GCA or anywhere else is assumed to have been completed only by the individual student. Students are responsible to observe standards on plagiarism, cheating, and properly crediting all sources used during the composition of work. Remember, I talked about that crediting sources that you use, that you get from the internet. We all have to research, and we're all grateful that the information is out there, but just don't forget to cite your work. Students who fail to abide by these standards will be reported to administration, which may result in a conference with the learning coach, failure of the course assignment or exam, loss of credit for courses, revoked access to courses, and suspension, expulsion from school. So it's very, very important not to plagiarize. And sometimes it happens because people just are not aware, they don't know any better. So that's why we have trainings like this, so that people can understand that you cannot copy a full body of work and claim it to be yours. So it's a difference of citing a paper, using, like I said, use a line here, use a line there, or use a couple of words, than to take a big body of work, copy it, and maybe change two words and say it's yours. that's plagiarism. So you don't want to do that. Always monitor your students' papers and make sure. I know, as I don't know if we do it here, but I know as you go to college, they have programs that they run your papers through just to make sure that you did not plagiarize. And when they run your paper through the program, it comes back and says 50% of this has been plagiarized, 60%. If it's 2%, then you're okay. But when you're getting up in the large percent of your work is plagiarized, that's going to be a problem and you will be in trouble. So always monitor your students' work and make sure that they are not plagiarizing. We have a digital literacy vocabulary K through 12, and you will get a link to this presentation so that you are able to click on all these links and that you will be able to go to all of the sites here. So don't worry. And here are our references. Remember, we told you to make sure that you're citing where you got some of your references from. And so this is just an example. And these are some of the places where we did some research and got the information for this particular training. And when I talk about citing your references, this is just what I'm talking about. Make sure that you do not take credit for things that do not belong to you. So it's okay, while most of this training we put together ourselves, we still want to cite those references for those places where we did get some information from. And that, my dear friends, is our training. At this time, I am going to open the floor for any questions